Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have an easy die cutting technique that I want to share with you. And you can make 2 cards just simply from cutting out one little die cut shape. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have 2 different card ideas to share with you that feature a very easy die cutting technique. So I'm going to show you how to create this little circle here with all those little strips of paper. I'll show you how to create that. So we're going to use this piece on one card, and then we're going to use that negative space on the other card. So you'll be able to make 2 cards simply by die cutting one piece. Now the cards in this video feature the Friendly Gnomes stamp set from Stampin Up. And this particular stamp set coordinates with the gnome dies, which were in the holiday catalog. But these dies are still available, so you can get these dies, and they coordinate perfectly with all the images in this stamp set. And I'm also using just some of the little florals from this Petal Park stamp set. There is a coordinating punch that goes with this stamp set, and I thought these little florals looked really cute on these cards. And the last thing that I'm using are the Stylish Shapes dies, and I'm using actually the largest circle in this particular die set, so it's about a 2.5 inch circle shape. All right, so let me show you how to make these cards. Okay, so first we're going to talk about these little strips that I used in the background on this card, because that's going to be the basis for creating our die cut shape for the other card. But it also will give us the background for this card. So I'm going to show you how to create this little background. So I just started with a 3.5 by 5.5 inch piece of white cardstock. And then I just cut little strips of cardstock from 3 different colors. So I have Fresh Freesia, Pool Party, and Granny Apple Green. And basically each of these pieces are 1/4 inch wide. And you want them to be at least 4 inches long. Mine are a little bit longer, they're 5.5, because you want just a little bit of wiggle room, you know, to play with as you adhere these pieces to your white cardstock. So basically that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna add some glue onto these little pieces, and we're just going to adhere them one by one to our cardstock piece. So I started about 1 inch or maybe 3/4 inches from the top. And you can start with whatever colors you want. Actually, you can use any colors to create these cards. You don't have to use the exact colors that I'm using. And you just want to go along and just adhere these little strips right across this cardstock piece and let the excess hang off. We will take care of that a little bit later. And I recommend just leaving a little bit of white space in between each of these pieces. So notice how I'm not adhering them directly next to each other. I'm leaving just a little bit of matting. And we're just going to adhere all these pieces. So you need 3 of each of these colors, or whatever colors you're using. You want to cut 3 of each color. Okay, so once you have all the pieces adhered, then you can just take your scissors and just snip off the excess. So I just find that this works a lot easier than just cutting these, you know, exactly at 3.5 inches. Like I said, it just gives you a little bit more wiggle room and just makes it a lot easier to create the design. So now you're just going to take your 2.5 inch circle, and mine has the stitching on it. This is from the Stylish Shapes dies. And you're going to lay this over this design. So you definitely want the top and the bottom to be resting on one of these strips. So since I don't have enough strips on there, I'm going to just add one more. I'm going to add a purple one. And we'll add this one right underneath here. So you can add as many strips as you want in order to get the look that you want. Okay, so now I have a good look. So I'm going to die cut this out, and then we will be able to use both of these pieces. Okay, so I ran this through my embossing machine, and basically this cuts out this centerpiece, which is going to be our little circle shape that we're going to use for this card. And then I have this negative space here from removing the circle shape, which we're going to be using for this card. Okay, so we are ready to create the card. So I'm going to set this one aside for now, and we're going to start with this card first. So the first thing I'm going to do is just use some Granny Apple Green just to stamp my greeting down on the bottom of this piece of paper. The next thing I did for this card is I just embossed a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock. So I used the Painted Posies embossing folder, and we're just going to put this right behind our circle shape. So you can just position the image the way you want it, and then just flip this over and use a little bit of washi tape, or you can even use Scotch tape just to kind of hold it in place. Okay, and then we can go ahead and adhere it to our card base. So I'm just using some Granny Apple Green for my card base. And basically I'm just going to add some glue and adhere this right down to the card base. Okay, so that is what the card base looks like. And then I just decorated it. So I actually used one of the gnomes from the Friendly Gnomes set, and I stamped it on a scrap piece of white cardstock, just using some black ink. And then I colored her in with my little stamping blends. So I have some Fresh Freesia, Pool Party, and Daffodil Delight is what I used, and then a little ivory for the face. And so you can just kind of tuck this. I kind of tried to tuck it like right underneath the last strip here, and I put her right in the middle. So the next thing I did is just wrapped a little bit of twine around the side of the card. Actually, I went around the whole entire card front twice, and then just tied it into a little bow. And this is actually the in color twine. So the color is actually Parakeet Party, but it goes really nice with the Granny Apple Green. And then I just embellished it with a few opaque dots. So that is the first card. Now, all right, so for card number 2, we are actually going to use that circle that we created when we created the first card. So I have this little circle shape that we created. So we're going to use this. We're going to use our Granny Apple Green for the base of the card. And then I just took a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock, and I'm just going to stamp a greeting on this. So I'm just using the same greeting, and we'll just stamp that right on the bottom of this white piece of cardstock. And then we can go ahead and adhere this piece right to the card front. All right, so now let's adhere our little circle shape kind of up on the top here. And then I just added the same little gnome, just kind of in the center of this circle shape. And then I used those flowers from the Petal Park stamp set just to kind of decorate the cards. So basically there's a punch that goes with this particular stamp set. So I just stamped that floral, the one floral, on a scrap piece of paper, and then I just slid this in here and then punched it out. So I colored the flowers using Fresh Freesia and the Daffodil Delight. So I only need 3 for this card. So we'll just put one up at the top here. So I just kind of tucked the little purple one underneath. And then the yellow one I just kind of put right next to it. And then this last one just kind of over on the side here. And the last thing that I did is just added a couple of these little opaque dots is what they're called. So that's it. Now you can see the difference between the panels on this card compared to the panels on this card. So remember, I added an extra piece, and I actually kind of like this one better. So this one, I only used 9 pieces. I used 3 of the fresh freesia, 3 of the pool party, and 3 of the granny apple green. And this one, I felt like I needed to add an extra one, but I don't think I really needed to do that. But you can see the difference in the two. So I think you can get away with 9. If you really want to add that extra piece, this took 10 pieces. I put an extra fresh freesia on that one. But either way, they're super cute, and I had a lot of fun making them. Okay, so there you go. Now you have a fun way that you can use your die cut shapes in your card making. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.